The room went quiet the moment my manager cleared his throat. Not the normal kind of quiet. The heavy kind. The kind where people stop typing, stop breathing, and suddenly stare at the same spot on the table. My manager held a printed email in his hand. His voice sounded colder than usual. "Apparently," he said slowly, "someone here has been ignoring deadlines, hiding updates, and trying to take credit for work that isn't theirs." My stomach dropped. Then he said my name. Every head turned toward me. Someone behind me whispered, "Seriously?" Another person shifted their chair away from mine like I had done something contagious. My manager kept reading. According to the email, I had ignored multiple requests from the team. I had delayed a key project. I had even tried to present someone else's research as my own. None of it was true. But the worst part. The message had already spread. My coworker had quietly sabotaged my name to half the department. I sat there frozen while people I had worked beside for years looked at me like I was a liar. Humiliation burned in my chest. I opened my laptop slowly. Because there was one thing none of them knew yet. Every message connected to that project still existed. Every timestamp. Every reply. Every instruction. And buried deep inside that long thread was the truth. But before I explain how that email destroyed my reputation, and how it eventually destroyed the person who wrote it, you need to understand who I am. And why someone in my office wanted me gone so badly. My name is Adrian. For most of my career, I was the quiet employee. The one who stayed late. The one who fixed problems without making noise. I grew up believing work should speak for itself. No drama. No office politics. Just results. Our company wasn't huge, but it was competitive. Promotions didn't happen often, and when they did, people watched closely. I worked in project coordination, the kind of role where everything falls apart if communication breaks. Deadlines. Reports. Client updates. If one person drops the ball, the entire project suffers. For 3 years, I built a reputation for reliability. Managers trusted me with difficult tasks. Coworkers asked me for help with deadlines. I didn't think anyone saw me as competition. At least, not at first. Then something changed. 6 months before the email incident, our department announced a new leadership position. Team operations lead. 1 promotion. Dozens of people quietly hoping for it. I didn't plan to compete for it. But the moment my name started coming up in conversations, someone else in the office began to panic. Someone who believed that position already belonged to them. And that person was my coworker. Her name was Sabrina. Sabrina had been at the company longer than most of us. She was confident, charismatic, and very good at making the right people like her. Our director often praised her in meetings. She led presentations. She spoke the loudest in brainstorming sessions. She always seemed close to management. To most people in the office, she looked like the obvious choice for the promotion. And honestly, I believed that too. Until something strange started happening. Managers began asking me for input on projects Sabrina controlled. Not small things. Important planning decisions. At first I thought it was a mistake. But it kept happening. One afternoon, the senior director even stopped by my desk. "Adrian," he said quietly, "your reports have been very strong lately." I thanked him, embarrassed. Then he added something unexpected. "Keep doing what you're doing. Leadership notices consistency." Across the room, Sabrina was watching. Her smile stayed on her face. But her eyes had changed. That was the first moment I realized something simple. She didn't see me as a teammate anymore. She saw me as a threat. And threats inside offices like ours rarely get treated kindly. The first sign wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. A missed message. One afternoon Sabrina walked past my desk and said casually, "Adrian, you missed the client update this morning." I blinked. I didn't get a meeting invite. She raised her eyebrows like she was surprised. "Oh, I sent it yesterday." Later that day I checked my inbox. Nothing. I assumed it was a mistake. But then it happened again. And again. Emails I never received. Documents I was apparently supposed to review. Deadlines that appeared suddenly. Each time Sabrina would say the same thing. I thought you saw the message. People started noticing the pattern. Not the missing emails. Just the results. From the outside, it looked like I was slipping. Late responses. Confused updates. Missed discussions. It was small enough that no one accused me directly. But whispers started forming. And Sabrina. She always looked helpful. Always calm. Always ready to fix the confusion. At the time, I didn't realize something important. These weren't mistakes. They were the beginning of a story she was quietly writing about me. A story that would eventually reach everyone. The next step was humiliation. And she chose the perfect moment. During a department meeting, our manager asked for the latest numbers on a client project. I had prepared them carefully. But before I could speak, Sabrina interrupted. Actually, she said politely, those numbers might not be accurate. The room turned toward me. My manager frowned. What do you mean? Sabrina sighed like she was uncomfortable. I sent Adrian updated figures yesterday. I don't think he saw them. I opened my laptop quickly. Nothing in my inbox. But from the outside, it looked terrible. My manager rubbed his forehead. Adrian, we need better communication. The embarrassment burned. I tried explaining I never received the message. But Sabrina quickly pulled up her screen. There it is, she said. An email. Sent. Time-stamped. Real. Except there was one detail no one noticed. The message had been sent to the wrong address. One letter missing. Just enough that it would never reach me. At the time, I thought it was a simple typo. Now I know better. Because that tiny mistake became the foundation of a bigger accusation. And Sabrina wasn't done yet. Not everyone believed the story forming about me. There was one person in the office who rarely spoke during meetings. A senior operations consultant named Marcus. He worked mostly behind the scenes. Reviewing processes. Studying how departments communicated. Most people barely noticed him. But he noticed everything. One afternoon he stopped by my desk. You seem stressed lately, he said calmly. I gave a small laugh. Just work. He looked thoughtful. Sometimes work problems are actually communication problems. Then he added something strange. Save your emails. I frowned. Why? He shrugged slightly. Patterns reveal truth. At the time I didn't understand what he meant. But that quiet conversation changed everything. From that day forward, I stopped deleting messages. I archived them. Every email. Every timestamp. Every request. Without realizing it, I had started collecting evidence. And the story Sabrina was writing about me was about to grow much bigger. It didn't take long. Within weeks, the whispers became louder. People stopped including me in quick conversations. Some co-workers double-checked my work in ways they never had before. One afternoon I walked into the break room and heard someone say quietly, "Careful relying on Adrian. He's been dropping things lately." I froze in the doorway. They didn't see me standing there. And the person speaking was Sabrina. Her voice sounded concerned, almost protective. "I'm just worried about the team," she said. That sentence hurt more than any accusation. Because it sounded reasonable. People trust concern. They trust calm voices. By the time I returned to my desk, something inside me had shifted. I realized arguing emotionally wouldn't fix this. The story about me was already spreading. And once rumors grow, words alone rarely stop them. That night I opened my email archive. Dozens of threads. Hundreds of messages. Some small. Some important. For the first time, I began reading them carefully. And slowly, I started noticing something strange. The timeline didn't match Sabrina's story. Not even close. The more emails I reviewed, the clearer the pattern became. Requests Sabrina claimed I ignored. I had answered them. Sometimes within minutes. Deadlines she said I missed. The timestamps proved I delivered early. Even the meeting invites she insisted I forgot. Some had never been sent to me at all. Others had been edited after the meeting happened. At first I felt relief. The truth existed. But then another thought hit me. No one else was checking these threads. They only saw Sabrina's summary emails. The short messages she forwarded to managers. The versions that made her look organized, and me look careless. She wasn't just spreading rumors. She was controlling the narrative. And she was good at it. That night I remembered Marcus's words. Patterns reveal truth. So I started organizing everything. Screenshots. Threads. Timelines. I wasn't planning revenge. I just wanted protection. But while I was quietly collecting facts, Sabrina made her biggest move yet. The email that would try to destroy my reputation completely. It happened on a Monday morning. The message arrived early. Subject line, concern regarding project communication. At first glance, it looked professional, respectful, carefully written. But every sentence pointed at me. According to Sabrina's email, I had ignored team instructions, delayed reports, and tried to present her research as my own work. She wrote that she hesitated to bring it up, but believed the department deserved transparency. Then she added the final line. I'm worried this behavior may harm the project. The moment I saw the recipient list, my chest tightened. Managers, supervisors, team members, half the department. My coworker had quietly sabotaged my name to half the department. And within minutes, replies started appearing. Questions. Confusion. Concern. The narrative had been launched. Before I could even respond, my manager scheduled a department meeting. That was the meeting where Chapter 1 began. The meeting where my name was read out loud like a warning. But Sabrina had made one mistake. A small one. The same mistake she had made before. She forgot that emails never exist alone. They exist in threads. After the meeting, people avoided eye contact with me. I heard chairs move when I walked past desks. No one said anything directly. But the damage was done. That afternoon I stared at the reply box for a long time. Part of me wanted to defend myself immediately. To explain everything. To expose Sabrina right away. But another part of me hesitated. Emotional responses often make things worse. Especially when someone is already controlling the narrative. So I closed the email. Instead of replying publicly, I did something else. I opened the entire thread Sabrina referenced. Not just the message she sent. The full conversation history. Months of emails connected to that project. Line by line, I began highlighting things. Instructions she changed. Deadlines she moved. Messages she ignored. Slowly, a different story appeared. Not the one she told. The real one. A story of manipulation hidden inside normal communication. But I still didn't know how to show it to everyone. Until the next twist arrived. And it came from the quiet observer. Marcus. 2 days after the meeting, Marcus stopped by my desk again. He looked serious this time. I saw the email, he said. I nodded slowly. Everyone did. He leaned against the desk. Have you replied yet? No. He gave a small approving nod. Good. That surprised me. Why? Marcus lowered his voice slightly. Because sometimes the truth needs the right moment. I showed him the organized email threads on my screen. His eyebrows lifted. You kept everything. Like you suggested. He studied the timeline carefully. After a long pause he said something important. Do you know why Sabrina did this? I hesitated. The promotion. Marcus nodded slowly. Yes. But there's more. He explained that leadership had been reviewing team performance quietly for months. And my name had been rising on the list. Higher than Sabrina's. She knew before most people, Marcus said. That email wasn't just an accusation. It was a preemptive strike. Suddenly everything made sense. She wasn't reacting. She was protecting what she believed was already hers. But Marcus ended our conversation with a warning. Don't rush. Because the next move won't come from you. 3 days later something unusual happened. An email arrived from senior leadership. Not about the accusation. About the project itself. They wanted a full communication review. Apparently, the delays and confusion around the project had raised concerns. And the person assigned to review the situation. Marcus. When I saw his name in the message, I finally understood his role. He wasn't just a quiet consultant. He was the person leadership trusted to uncover problems. Real problems. That afternoon he asked both Sabrina and me to submit full communication records related to the project. Sabrina replied quickly. Confident. Professional. Her message included selected emails that supported her version of events. But she didn't send the full threads. Just the pieces she wanted people to see. I, on the other hand, sent everything. Months of conversations. Complete. Unedited. Time-stamped. When I clicked send, my hands were shaking. Because I knew one thing. If someone actually read those threads carefully, the story Sabrina wrote about me would collapse. And the truth waiting inside those emails would change everything. A week passed. The office atmosphere grew tense. People whispered even more now. Some assumed the review would confirm Sabrina's claims. Others simply waited. Then one afternoon Marcus sent a meeting invitation. Department-wide. Subject line. Project communication findings. My heart started pounding. When we entered the meeting room, everyone looked nervous. Sabrina sat confidently near the front. She looked calm. Almost victorious. Marcus connected his laptop to the screen. No speeches today, he said quietly. Just evidence. He opened the email thread. Not Sabrina's short summary. The full conversation. Hundreds of messages. Scrolling slowly from the beginning. Timestamp by timestamp. Instruction by instruction. Reply by reply. At first people looked confused. Then their expressions changed. Because the deeper the thread went, the clearer the pattern became. Requests Sabrina claimed I ignored. Already answered. Deadlines she blamed on me. Changed by her. Messages she said she sent. Never delivered. The room grew silent. And for the first time since the accusations began, the story was no longer hers to control. But the biggest reveal in that thread hadn't appeared yet. And when it did, it would cost Sabrina far more than just the promotion. The room stayed silent as Marcus continued scrolling through the email thread. Every message was on the screen. No edits. No missing pieces. At first people leaned forward with curiosity. Then confusion appeared. Then shock. One by one, Marcus highlighted the messages Sabrina claimed I ignored. Each one showed my reply sitting clearly below it. Response time, Marcus said calmly, pointing at the timestamp. 8 minutes. Another email. Response time, 12 minutes. Then another. Response time, 5 minutes. A few co-workers shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. The story Sabrina had told suddenly didn't match the evidence. My manager frowned at the screen. Wait, that means Adrian actually answered every request. Marcus nodded. Yes. Then he opened another section of the thread. This one showed something even worse. Deadlines that had been changed. Instructions rewritten. Updates quietly removed from the chain before being forwarded to management. Each change led back to the same sender. Sabrina. She crossed her arms and forced a smile. This doesn't prove anything, she said quickly. Projects change all the time. Marcus didn't argue. Instead, he scrolled further down. Correct, he said calmly. Projects change. Then he opened one final email. An internal message Sabrina had forgotten existed. And the moment it appeared on the screen, the room gasped. Because the email didn't just question my work. It revealed her real plan. But the worst part of that message hadn't been read out loud yet. Marcus zoomed in on the message. It was sent 3 months before the accusation email. The sender was Sabrina. But the recipient wasn't the team. It was someone outside our department. Another manager. The subject line read, Promotion Strategy. My heart started pounding. Marcus read the first line slowly. I'm concerned Adrian may be positioning himself for the operations lead role. The room shifted again. Sabrina sat up straighter. Private emails shouldn't be shared like this, she said quickly. Marcus didn't respond. He simply continued reading. If leadership thinks he's handling communication well, that may change the promotion decision. My stomach twisted. Because the next line explained everything. I may need to highlight some of his mistakes before the review process begins. A quiet murmur spread across the room. My manager looked stunned. Sabrina's face went pale. But Marcus still wasn't finished. He scrolled further down. The final line appeared on the screen. And suddenly the entire situation looked far worse than simple office rivalry. Because Sabrina hadn't just planned to discredit me. She had written something that sounded dangerously close to deliberate sabotage. But the next email in the thread proved something even bigger. And it showed that someone else had known about it. The next email reply came from someone higher up in the company. A senior operations director. The same person who had quietly complimented my work months earlier. Marcus opened the response. The director had written, "Let's focus on performance, not speculation." Simple. Professional. But then Marcus pointed to the timestamp. This reply was never forwarded to the team, he said. Instead, Sabrina had sent a different message to management later. A shorter version. One that made it sound like leadership supported her concerns. In reality, they had done the opposite. The room buzzed with whispers. My manager leaned back slowly. So this entire narrative, he muttered. Marcus nodded. Was built selectively. Then he clicked open another message. This one was even more damaging. Because it wasn't written months ago. It was written just days before the accusation email. And the person Sabrina was speaking to was someone in human resources. The subject line made my chest tighten. Formal complaint preparation. Suddenly this situation wasn't just about rumors. It had almost become an official investigation against me. But the most shocking part of the message wasn't the complaint. It was the instructions she gave. Instructions that revealed she had been planning the entire accusation weeks in advance. Marcus let the email sit on the screen. Everyone read it quietly. Sabrina had asked HR how to file a misconduct report. She wrote that she had evidence I was harming project communication. But there was a problem. The evidence she mentioned didn't match the real email threads. Which meant something serious. If the complaint had moved forward, false information might have been used against me. My manager looked at Sabrina. Did you intend to submit this? She opened her mouth, then closed it. This is being taken out of context, she said finally. Marcus folded his hands. Then let's continue reading the context. He scrolled further. Now the screen showed the email Sabrina eventually sent to half the department. The same one that started everything. But Marcus highlighted the attachments. Notice anything unusual? He asked. People leaned closer. The attachments were screenshots. Short pieces of conversation. Pieces taken out of the full threads. When Marcus placed the full thread beside them, the difference became obvious. Entire replies had been removed. Meaning had been changed. My heart raced. Because suddenly the room understood something clearly. This wasn't confusion. It was manipulation. But the biggest problem hadn't even been discovered yet. And it would turn this office drama into something far more serious. 2 days after that meeting, everything changed. Human Resources opened a formal review. Not about me. About Sabrina. I was asked to provide copies of my archived emails again. Marcus continued analyzing communication patterns. The office felt strange. Some co-workers apologized quietly. Others avoided Sabrina completely. But she didn't disappear. In fact, she started fighting back. New rumors appeared. This time claiming I had influenced the review. That I had somehow convinced Marcus to support me. The accusations didn't make sense. But rumors rarely need logic. Then one afternoon something unexpected happened. Security asked to review department computer logs. At first I thought it was routine. Until Marcus explained why. Some of those emails were edited, he said. Not just forwarded differently. Edited. That word made my stomach drop. Because editing internal messages inside company systems required special permissions. Permissions regular employees didn't have. Which meant if changes had truly been made, someone had crossed a line far bigger than office politics. And whoever did it could face consequences far beyond losing a promotion. The IT department joined the investigation. They reviewed server records, login times, email edits, system access. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt calm. Because digital systems don't rely on opinions. They rely on data. One afternoon Marcus called me into a small office. He showed me a chart. Every time an email had been edited or forwarded differently. Each action connected to a specific computer. And one username appeared again and again. Sabrina's. She hadn't just forwarded emails selectively. She had downloaded threads, edited screenshots, then attached them to new messages. Technically, it wasn't hacking, but it was intentional misrepresentation. And inside a corporate investigation, that mattered a lot. Marcus closed the file slowly. This review may go further than you expect, he said. How far? He looked serious. Possibly legal. My chest tightened. Legal. All I had wanted was the truth. But now the situation had grown into something bigger. Because Sabrina had already filed a complaint draft with HR. And once official complaints exist, sometimes they move into formal hearings. Or even courtrooms. And that possibility was suddenly becoming real. One Monday morning Sabrina's desk was empty. No announcement. No explanation. But everyone noticed. Later that day management sent a department message. She had been placed on administrative leave while the investigation continued. The office atmosphere shifted overnight. Co-workers who once believed the rumors now approached me carefully. Some apologized. Others simply said they were glad the truth was coming out. But the story still wasn't finished. Because Sabrina wasn't admitting fault. Instead, she escalated the situation. Through her lawyer, she filed a formal complaint against the company. And my name was included. The accusation. Workplace retaliation. According to the claim, I had manipulated the investigation to ruin her career. When I heard that, my hands shook. After everything she had done, she was still trying to turn the story. Marcus remained calm. Evidence wins, he reminded me. But the company now had to respond formally. Which meant something new was about to happen. A legal hearing. Not a dramatic courtroom like movies show. But a corporate dispute process where every document would be reviewed again. Every email. Every message. Every action. And this time, nothing could be hidden. Lawyers began reviewing the email archive. Every thread I had saved months earlier suddenly became critical evidence. They organized timelines, highlighted patterns, compared screenshots Sabrina submitted to the original server records. The differences were obvious. But legal processes move slowly. Weeks passed. During that time I kept working quietly. I didn't celebrate. I didn't argue with anyone. I simply focused on my job. Marcus once told me something important during those weeks. Truth is powerful, he said. But patience is what allows truth to be heard. Finally the hearing date arrived. A conference room was prepared. Company leadership, legal representatives, HR, and Sabrina. It was the first time I had seen her in weeks. She looked confident again. Almost calm. Her lawyer argued that my evidence had been selectively interpreted. For a moment, the tension returned. Because stories can still be twisted. Even when facts exist. But then the company's legal team introduced something new. Something no one in that room had seen yet. Server access records. And what those records revealed changed everything. The IT specialist presented the logs. Every action tied to Sabrina's company account. Not just email edits, but file downloads, message captures, image editing timestamps, each one connected directly to the screenshots she sent to management. Her lawyer tried to argue the edits were for clarity. But then Marcus introduced the final piece of evidence. A complete email chain. One Sabrina had never submitted. It showed her original instructions to the team. Instructions that proved I had followed every step correctly. More importantly, the thread included something shocking. A message where she wrote, "Let's not include Adrian in this update yet." She had deliberately removed me from key communications. Then later blamed me for missing them. The hearing room went silent. Her lawyer stopped speaking. Leadership exchanged worried glances. Because now the situation looked extremely serious. But the most devastating reveal still hadn't appeared. And it was hidden inside the company's internal promotion review notes. Notes that would be presented next. The head of operations opened a confidential document. Promotion review records. These were internal notes leadership kept about potential candidates. My name appeared several times. Each comment mentioned reliability, teamwork, and communication. Then Sabrina's file appeared. Early notes were positive, but later entries changed. Several leaders had already expressed concern about her communication style months before the accusation email. One comment stood out clearly. Shows strong results but occasionally manipulates narratives. The room grew tense. Because this meant leadership had already been questioning her behavior. Before the accusations against me ever happened. Then the final entry appeared. Dated 2 days before her accusation email. It read, "Adrian currently leading promotion review." Sabrina had known she was losing the promotion. That email she sent to half the department had been a last attempt to change leadership's opinion. Not a warning. A strategy. And now the entire institution could see it clearly. But the consequences were about to become official. After hours of review, the decision was clear. Sabrina's complaint against the company was dismissed. The investigation concluded she had intentionally misrepresented internal communication. Her employment was terminated. The legal complaint she filed quickly collapsed after the evidence was presented. Within days the office returned to normal. But something else happened too. Leadership called me into a meeting. Not to discuss the investigation. To discuss the future. They offered me the team operations lead position. The same promotion that had started everything. When I walked out of that office, I didn't feel victorious. I felt relieved. Because the truth had finally been heard. Not through arguments. Not through revenge. But through patience. And evidence. Still, the story wasn't completely finished. Because what happened afterward taught me the most important lesson of all. Months have passed since that day. The office feels calmer now. People communicate more carefully. And email threads are taken much more seriously. Sometimes co-workers still bring up the situation quietly. They ask how I stayed calm while my reputation was falling apart. The truth is simple. I didn't win by attacking back. I won by staying honest. By saving evidence. By letting the full story be seen. Workplaces can be complicated. Favoritism happens. Politics happen. And sometimes people will try to frame others when they feel threatened. But I learned something powerful through this experience. Manipulation moves fast. Truth moves slow. But truth lasts longer. Patience and evidence will always defeat lies in the end. Integrity may look quiet in the moment. But in the long run, it speaks the loudest. And now I'm curious about something. Have you ever experienced favoritism at work? Or had someone try to frame you to protect their own position? If you have, share your story in the comments. Your experience might help someone else going through the same thing right now.